Hello, beautiful souls. If you found this message, trust that this found you for a reason. This is not random, and the Pluto retrograde is upon us, and what we tolerate now will define our future. So Spirit wants you to know that you absolutely can take full control of your life, your circumstances, and redirect where you're headed so that you can align with the future of your choice. Now, with that being said, welcome to Mountain Moon Tarot. I'm Tasha, and this is the collective Pluto retrograde reading. We're just going to start off the message with some pre-draw cards from Spirit around the collective. We are starting off with the Lover's card. This is about choices, comfort versus alignment, attachment versus authenticity. During this Pluto retrograde, I feel like a lot of connections are going to be tested. And on the flip side of that testing, some are going to deepen dramatically, but on the other side, there's a lot of relationships or dynamics that are going to crack under the pressure and the unavoidable truths that are coming up. And they're going to simply dissolve away. So I do want you to ask yourself with this card coming out, am I betraying myself to keep the peace? And if so, what am I going to do moving forward to change the narrative around that? We want to act in alignment. Now, this is further clarified by the Five of Wands. This is the card of competition, conflicts. It could be ego clashes, but the tension is so thick that you could cut it with a knife. You step in a room and you feel the density. So I absolutely feel like there are some collective conflicts going on right now. We know there are. And Spirit wants you to know that not every battle requires your time, attention, or energy. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And we want to redirect that energy so that we can be in alignment with where we want to go. Spirit is also asking you, have you been fighting for people that would not fight for you? Have you been fighting battles that are not your battles to fight? And if so, it's time to put down your wand and step into a place of authenticity and alignment that suits you and your soul. Now, we are moving into the star energy, and this is very beautiful because this Pluto retrograde is retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. And in case you didn't know, the tarot card that represents Aquarius is the star. So Aquarius is a sign of radical rebellion, change. It's inspiration. And the star card represents healing, following a collapse, or a release of something. And we are coming off of this Scorpio full moon on the 1st. So a lot of emotions could have been brought to the surface. They could have bubbled up. Things you hadn't thought about in years could have bubbled up for you to address it and release it. And so this card is coming in as the renewal, the hope, the purpose, your spiritual rebirth, your divine direction, or your divine redirection. So the themes around this Pluto retrograde for shadow work are going to be control issues. Are you the one that is very controlling in a situation? Have you been trying to control things? Or have you been being controlled? Do you have any unhealthy attachments around anything? Are you clinging to something out of necessity and fear, or because you love it? Are there fears of abandonment? A lot of us struggle with fears of abandonment because of our childhood traumas. But you know what? It's time to release those because they're not part of who we are now. They've helped form who we are now. But it's time to move past that because you will never be abandoned. Spirit loves you and we are all divine beings. So it's time to release any fears around people pleasing or worrying if people are going to leave. And then, are there addictions that we still need to tackle? Addictions are not always drug addictions, by the way. You could be binge eating. You could be starving yourself. You could have an addiction with trying to look a certain way, be a certain way. You could have a shopping addiction. It does not matter. There are addictions that come in all shapes and sizes. And if it's unhealthy and it's something you cannot stop doing, then it's an addiction. So what addictions do we need to tackle? Are there power struggles? This could be in work, home, life. We need to learn boundaries and we need to express our boundaries without feeling guilty. So those are all shadow aspects that we all need to address moving forward. And if there are any of those areas that still need refinement, well, now's the time to tap into this hope and this renewal and release any of those lingering tensions or shadow issues that we have going on beneath the surface. Now, this Pluto retrograde, it is in retrograde going from 5 degrees to 3 degrees in the sign of Aquarius. And the Pluto retrograde is like an onion. There are lots of layers. Um, you know, I'm thinking of the movie Shrek when I say this, but they were talking about how he's an onion and he's got all these layers. Well, we each individually have layers, and there's a core of who we are, but we build up this protective layer around ourselves, or lots of layers around ourselves, so that people don't get to know the real us, because we're afraid that if people get to know the real us, our divine truth or our divine spark, we might scare people away, or that goes back to those abandonment issues. But this Pluto retrograde is like an onion as well, and we are slowly pulling back the layers, the lies, the tensions, the things that we absolutely need to address. So expect things to surface that lead to radical change. Expect hidden truths or tensions to surface. This could be around relationships, soul contracts, power dynamics. This will absolutely be microcosmically for you independently and globally. And these are going to be things that no one wants to address. It's like the elephant in the room. It's like, hey, do you see that big elephant sitting over there in the room? And they're like, not my circus, not my monkeys. No, I'm not dealing with the elephant. But this energy is intense, and we're all going to feel it collectively. Although this energy is intense, though, it can be transformative, and it will absolutely be impossible to ignore, just like an elephant sitting in the corner of the room. You're not going to miss that. So that's your big, bold sign coming from Spirit, big red flashing lights. Look at me. And you're going to have to tackle that elephant in the room individually and collectively. We will. So without further ado, we are going to go into a few oracle cards here to clarify this message for the collective, and then we'll go into each individual sign. Again, I'll have each individual sign broken down and time stamped in the description, so if you want to skip ahead to your sign, please feel free to do so. You can also play this video at 1.25 if you want to speed it up. So, Spirit, what does the collective need to know around this Lovers, Five of Wands, and the Star energy? All right, we've got a great adventure. Take a risk and venture forward. Like I said, these things that are bubbling up to the surface, if we address them correctly, even though it feels risky, we can absolutely propel ourselves into this new hope and direction, which is indicated here by the star. Things that feel risky, or things that we don't necessarily want to address, can lead to the innermost healing. This can lead to the biggest releases. I feel like this Pluto retrograde is going to be the catalyst for a lot of people to embark on their soul's path. So if we trust the journey, and if we trust that diving into the shadow aspects of the things that we still need to address and do the work that's needed, the shadow work, then we have a great adventure ahead. All right, I do want to read what the great adventure is about. So I'm going to get my little book out here that goes with these oracle cards. At the end of your life, you are more likely to regret the things you didn't do than the things that you did. Take risks. Not every risk enables success, but if you don't try, you'll never know what remarkable experiences were available to you. By stepping out of your comfort zone, you'll discover new talents and abilities. Playing it safe in the long run is no safer than venturing forth with glee. To quote Helen Keller, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Speaking of Helen Keller, she was blind and deaf, but yet she still managed to amaze everyone. People today still cannot fathom how she was able to accomplish what she was able to accomplish. And if you can address the elephant in the room, or if you can address the shadow aspects of yourself, you're going to step into a place of divine alignment where you are going to inspire other people as well. But you're never going to know what you're capable of if you don't take the chance, if you don't boldly move forward. Risk versus reward. Sometimes we just have to go for our dreams and go for our goals, and we never know if it's going to pan out or not until we take that leap of faith. Spirit is absolutely asking you guys to have faith at this time, to stop repressing those hidden emotions, those hidden aspects of yourself that you are afraid to bring into the light. It's time to shine the light on those, and it's time to address anything that needs to be addressed. so that you can boldly move forward in this healing and hope energy. All right, Spirit, what else does the collective need to know at this time? All right, we got one wanting to come out. The gates of triumph. Success expands in your life. So I feel like just as the star is where we're headed if we address these issues, this also indicates triumph. It indicates victory. So what are we going to be victorious over? Are we going to address our inner demons head on and defeat them and put them to bed for good? Or are we going to continue to be stuck in the energy of conflict, tension, whether it's internally or externally? It's time to let these conflicts go. They're not your burdens to carry anymore. All right, with that being said, we are going to hop right into each individual sign. We're going to kick it off with Aries. So I do want to get some tarot cards to clarify the message for Aries, and then we'll dive into your house for this Pluto retrograde. So Spirit, what does Aries need to know around this Pluto retrograde? Eight of Wands. This is about fast incoming changes. Aries, this hits your 11th house of communication. So this is a time to step back and reflect on what or who feels aligned with your current path. I am going to get one more card of clarity here. What is this Eight of Wands change about, or what is this ushering in for Aries? All right, there's going to be some changes about the self-imposed restrictions that you have placed on yourself around communications. You're going to start expressing yourself authentically, and I feel like you have not set firm boundaries in the past. You have not tapped into that Aries leadership quality that I know you all embody. And I feel like for some of you, this is the time where you're going to take back your power and authority. And once you do, there's going to be rapid changes. So Spirit is absolutely telling you to set firm boundaries and do it without feeling guilty. Doesn't matter whether this is your kid, your job, your lover, it does not matter, your best friend. If they are overstepping their bounds and your boundaries, then it's time for you to put the boot down, and it's time for you to take full autonomy of your life so that you can move forward from a place of pure authority. Your card in the tarot is the Emperor, and I feel like if you can address the ways that you self-sabotage, then you can absolutely step into the Emperor energy moving forward, which is your soul's path. All right, that's a beautiful, beautiful message. So Aries, ask yourself, who or what feels aligned? If someone does not feel aligned moving forward, what am I going to do to address this issue? Is this someone or something that I want to keep in my life, or is it time to let it go? This is what you need to tackle during this Pluto retrograde. Aries, if this resonates, drop me a comment below. I would love to hear your take on this or get your feedback on this message. And as always, if you like this video, consider subscribing so that you can be a part of this community and help it grow. Until next time, much love. All right, we are moving into Taurus next. So Taurus, this Pluto retrograde is hitting your 10th house of career and legacy. This is about your reputation, and this is going to be an internal transformation. So Spirit, what does Taurus need to know at this time for this Pluto retrograde? We have the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is about leaving any missed opportunities or regrets behind you. And I feel like this ties in perfectly with this Pluto retrograde energy. Things are going to surface that may be uncomfortable. Things that did not work out in the past, or things that you have repressed that you have not been willing to tackle head on about things that did not pan out the way you hoped, are going to be brought forth so that you can move past it. And in doing so, I feel like you are going to start building your legacy, your lasting legacy. What are you leaving behind for those that you love, for the ones that you inspire? What are you creating? Let's get a little clarity on that, Taurus. All right, what is the clarity for the Eight of Cups? We've got this coming out. Once we release those spilt cups, once we leave those in the dirt, we are ushering in new emotional connections. This could be with a new partner. It could be with a partner that is already in your life that you want to deepen the bonds with, but this is going to be new emotional fulfillment on both sides of the aisle. And in doing so, you are setting forth and leaving a lasting legacy for yourself and for those that you love. So tap into this Pluto retrograde and ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? Where have I been focused on the past too much? And how can I release it moving forward? Taurus, if this resonates, please drop me a comment below. I would love to hear your take on this. And as always, if you enjoy this content, please consider leaving me a like or subscribe so we can stay connected in the future. Until next time, much love. All right, we are moving into Gemini now. So Gemini, this Pluto retrograde is going to hit your 4th house, and that is higher learning and philosophies. So I feel like this is going to be a time where you are going to be a student. And let's get some clarity. Spirit, what does Gemini need to know for this Pluto retrograde? What's their main takeaway? The Page of Cups. Yeah, this is the student card. I said that I feel like you're going to be a student, and this is the card of being a student. You're learning how to be emotionally fulfilled. You're learning how to balance your emotions. You're learning reciprocity in the emotions and energy that you exchange, and you're looking for equal energetic exchange moving forward. There's not going to be any more lopsided ways of exchanging energy. Let's get a little bit of clarity around that. So Gemini, what does this Page of Cups mean for Gemini? The Six of Wands, you are going to be victorious. So whatever you've been lacking in as far as the things you've wanted to learn or the things that you've needed to learn to grow and to become emotionally balanced and grounded, you're going to learn those and you're going to actually apply those. So that's going to lead to your victory. A good thing to ask yourself during this Pluto retrograde is, what do I want to learn? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? And how can I refine the aspects of my life that lack balance or reciprocity? So that's what Spirit wants you to focus on for this Pluto retrograde. And as always, Gemini, if this resonates, drop me a comment below. Let me know where you're at. I'd love to hear your take on this. And if you like this content, please consider liking or subscribing so that we can stay connected. Until next time, Gemini, much love. All right, we're moving right into Cancer. So Cancer, this hits your 8th house of shared resources. It hits your house of money. This could be also attachments to others or emotions around reciprocity. Cancer, you're definitely a provider and a caregiver. This is going to be a time where you're looking back on the past. Absolutely. That's what retrogrades are about. So we're going to tap into some fond memories and maybe some not so fond memories. But as this is the card of reflection and nostalgia, just remember that this is the past. So ruminating over it or fixating on it doesn't necessarily change the outcome. We can't do that. So if it's something that's uncomfortable, let's address it now, because we don't live in the past. That's done. It's over with. We can't go back. So this is your time to address any elephants in the room, as we discussed earlier, so that you can move forward and live in the present moment, because that is all we have. Let's get a little clarity on that, Cancer. What does that mean for you? Spirit, clarify the Six of Cups energy for Cancer. All right, the Seven of Swords. You're looking back at the past on the ways that you've been taken advantage of, the ways that you've been manipulated, or the ways that others have controlled you, or that you have allowed them to control you, because we have to allow it. That's the thing. And you're looking forward to say, how can I reframe that moving forward? Because I don't want to be controlled by others anymore. I don't want to be someone's emotional punching bag. So, this Pluto retrograde in Spirit is calling to you to address any issues where you have been over serving others, where you have been involved in battles, or where other people have been taking advantage of your energy. And this is your time to reclaim your power and to look back on those issues that have controlled you and not dwell in them, but address them to be like, for one, how am I going to fix this moving forward? What can I do differently to not be taken advantage of in the future? And where do I want to go? What is acceptable to me and what is not acceptable? And then we need to have those tough conversations with the ones who are causing the conflicts. And if they're not willing to change, and if this is not a serving relationship or a serving job or whatever the situation may be, then maybe Cancer, it's your time to reflect and let go. But as always, Cancer, let me know in the comments what you think of this message, if this resonates. And if you feel inclined to, please leave me a like or maybe even subscribe if you like this content so we can stay connected in the future. Until next time, much love. All right, we have Leo next. So Leo, this hits your 7th house of partnerships. This is going to be all about duality. It's going to be about reciprocity, balance, integrity, alignment, or are we out of equilibrium? So Spirit, what does Leo need to know for this Pluto retrograde? The Queen of Wands. This was your energy in your weekend update. And the Queen of Wands, I feel like, is where you currently are. I feel like a lot of you are stepping into your full autonomy and authenticity. And in doing so, you are a magnetic presence. People are naturally drawn to you. They gravitate towards you. You exude these leadership qualities that people admire because a lot of people don't know how to lead. And Leo, I feel like you lead boldly. Let's get a little clarity on this and what this means for this retrograde. So Spirit, what does this mean for Leo and what do they need to work on? Well, we've already got our answer here, the Two of Wands. Leo, now that you've stepped into authenticity, this Pluto retrograde is a great time for you to get your direction. So what do you want to accomplish in life? Where do you want to go? What lasting impression do you want to leave on the world? Where do you want to go in your relationships? Maybe you're on the fence about committing to a new relationship, a new job, a new path, but this is your time to make a decision and boldly move forward. Also, this could be representative of 1001, which is a mirror. So 1001. That is a mirror, and it reflects back to you the things that you need to address or the things that you need to see. So if we look at things and they trigger us, then that means that there's an emotion that's unresolved within ourselves that we still need to address. So this Pluto retrograde is a great time to address any lingering issues that trigger you so that you can boldly move forward on your path. As always, Leos, I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments. So let me know what you think of this. And if you feel inclined to do so, please consider subscribing or giving this video a like so that we can stay connected in the future. Until next time, much love. All right, we have Virgos up. Virgo in the house. And Virgo, this hits your 6th house of habits, your daily routines. What's sustainable? What's not? Are we avoiding self-care at this time? So Spirit, what does Virgo need to know around this Pluto retrograde? The 5 of Swords. This is about conflicts, fights, power struggles. So since this hits your house of daily habits and what's sustainable and what's not, this tells me that you have been in some sort of internal conflict with yourself. Maybe you're over sacrificing in a lot of areas because you feel the need to perfect something or you feel the need to appease others. But ultimately, this is causing you inner grief and strife because Swords is of the mind. Now let's get a little clarity on what you need to do with this Pluto retrograde to refine this energy. So Spirit, what does Virgo need to do? 4 of Wands. We need to set realistic goals and expectations. They need to be grounded in reality. This 4 of Wands is about firm foundations. When you set up a home for the first time, you want to make sure that all the measurements are right and accurate, and that everything that you're adding to the home is sustainable and long lasting. So if you're burning the candle at both ends at this time and it's causing you grief and woe, it's time to stop, step back, take a look in the mirror and be like, why am I doing the things that I do? How am I hurting myself in doing the things that I do? How can I realistically move forward, setting expectations and achieving my goals, but with realism? And once you do that, you're going to step into a place of firm, structured foundations. And the steps that you take moving forward in your daily routines are going to absolutely be balanced and long lasting. So, Virgo, as always, if this resonates, let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this content, please consider subscribing or leaving me a like. And I cannot wait to see you guys in the next one. Much love. We are moving right into Libra energy. So, Spirit, what does Libra need to know with this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius? Right now, we've got one wanting to come out. This is your Ace of Swords moment. This is like an aha moment. This sword cuts through any illusory fog. Now, Libra, this hits your fifth home of children, lovers. This is your house of self-expression. So your fifth house, I might have misspoke. I'm not sure what I said before, but this hits your fifth house of home, children, and lovers and self-expression. So I feel like you're really figuring out exactly who you are, how you show up in the home, how you are a parent, how you are a lover, or what value you add to every situation. And Spirit, what do they need to work on with this Pluto retrograde? Ooh, the Hierophant. This is about changing up the ways that you have been stuck in traditions or habits. Why do you do things? Well, the why. Why are you doing things in alignment with structures or routines that have been set by other people if they don't serve you? So, what expectations have been thrust upon you by your ancestral lineage or by the world? And how can you refine those so that you can be the best parent, person, lover that you can absolutely be? What does your soul require of you? What do you want to do? What is your truth? What's your authenticity? Because structures and routines can be great, but they can also be constricting and they can feel claustrophobic. So if there's any structures or habits or routines that were based off what society expects you to do or what your family expects you to do, then it's time to let those go. That's what this Pluto retrograde is about for you, Libra. Libra, I would love to hear what you think in the comments, so please drop me a comment below. If you like this content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like, and I will see you guys next time. Much love. All right, we have Scorpio. All the Scorpios in the house. Scorpio, Pluto is your chart ruler, as we discussed in the beginning of the video. And Pluto in Aquarius hits your fourth house of home and lineage. So there's going to be some shifts around your foundation, what supports you and what does not. So Spirit, what does Scorpio need to know with this Pluto retrograde? Ooh, the devil energy. Again, this goes back to what supports you and what does not. Is there anything in your life that is controlling? Anything that is a negative attachment? Like I said, there was some shadow work that needed to be addressed. That could be any of the previous things that I talked about earlier in the video. Control issues, unhealthy attachments, addictions, power struggles, maybe you need to learn your boundaries. Maybe there's fear of abandonment. We need to tackle those head on. So Spirit, what's the message here for them around this Pluto retrograde and this devil card? What do they need to know? And we got one wanting to come out here, the Knight of Pentacles. We attack this one step at a time. It's not easy, but as these truths or as these hard truths surface, because I want to say it that way, I feel like that's what Spirit's leading me to do. A lot of these are going to be very intense, hard truths, but as they surface and as we recognize the devil energy that is still attached to our lives, then we can move forward transformatively through practical, consistent efforts. You just put one foot in front of the other and you keep moving forward. If you fall, you get back up on this horse and you just keep swimming. That's what you've got to do through this Pluto retrograde, because it's going to hit you pretty hard. It's going to hit Scorpios pretty abrasively. So just be ready, be prepared. It's intense energy, but you are strong. You've got this. Spirit's got you. You just got to keep moving forward, and you've got to address any lingering demons that are causing you grief or woe. Now, Scorpio, I'd love to hear your take on this in the comments below. Let me know where you're at on your journey, what you would like to work on with this Pluto retrograde. And if you feel inclined to and you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing or leaving me a like. It does help my channel grow and it helps me connect with you again in the future. Also, just a side note here, I am a fellow Scorpio sun as well. So I totally feel your energy and I wish you all the best. Until next time. Next up, we have Sagittarius. Sag, I feel like y'all are going through some intense changes at this time already, but this Pluto retrograde is going to be another catalyst moment for you. So let's get you some communication from Spirit on what you can work on so that you can be best prepared for these changes. And already we've got the Knight of Swords coming out. This is about boldly moving forward. This is not being stuck in our own mind anymore. We are clear on where we want to go and we're taking the actions that are needed to move forward and escape this inner turmoil that we have been a part of. Sag, this hits your third house of communication, technology, thoughts, how you share those ideals or thoughts with the world. This can give you a new perspective on how you treat yourself internally. What's your internal dialogue? How do you talk to yourself? And again, that goes back to that swords energy. So I feel like you've been in some inner turmoil. Maybe you've been really tough on yourself, and maybe you have had some negative self-talk about mistakes that you've made, but it is time to release any anxiety, fear, or frustration around mistakes that you have made because they are in the past. We cannot change them. All we can do is move forward in the present moment, grounded in the reality that we want to be a part of. Because once we do that, your external reality has no way but to adapt to your internal landscape. So address whatever issues that you've been ruminating on so you can fully step forward into that star energy that we discussed earlier. Spirit, what do they need to work on around this Pluto retrograde? All right. Ooh, this is victory. So definitely I am seeing that you need to work on the internal dialogue aspect of how you treat yourself, because how you treat yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. And maybe you have not been treated so fairly by others, but in turn, you've not spoken too kindly to yourself. So if we can reframe the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we communicate with others, the golden rule, treat others the way that you want to be treated and treat yourself the way that you want others to treat you, then we will be victorious and we will start to see things change around our communication and we'll get a new perspective on who we are and where we're headed. Sagittarius, if this resonates, I would love to hear your comments below. If you like this content, please consider subscribing or leaving me a like. It does help my channel grow and it does help me connect with you again in the future. As always, I am sending you so much love and light. Until the next time. Bye-bye. All right, Capricorn. What does Capricorn need to know for this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius? Whoop. 10 of Wands. Capricorn, I feel like you've been carrying some heavy, heavy burdens. This is fiery energy. Wands could be of the mind, but they could also be physical burdens. I feel like this ties back into some choices that you made in the past. We're going back to the Lover's card at the beginning of this read. Some choices that you've made have caused you to go down a very difficult, heavy road, and the density of this road has really weighed you down. So this is your new chance, your new cycle to completely change the narrative, to make a different choice to get you to a different outcome in the future. So, Spirit, what do they need to work on with this Pluto retrograde to tap into this new cycle and release this burden? Oh, the Nine of Wands. You are so close to the finish line. So you just have to keep moving forward. This is your final push. Spirit is saying you have to dive deep and address any issues that are causing you distress or grief. Let down any burdens that are not yours to carry. In the beginning, we talked about the Five of Wands, which I will pull that back out. Not every battle is yours to fight. So what battles are you taking up and putting on your back that are not yours? It's time to release those, Capricorn. It's time to rein back in your energy so that you can get the strength to make it through this final push of this cycle, because a new cycle is beginning. And if we can stop taking on burdens that are not our own, and if we can make better choices moving forward, then this next cycle is going to have the energy of hope, renewal, and inspiration instead of being burdened down. So if this resonates, Capricorn, I would love to hear your comments below. Let me know where you're at on your journey. And if you do like this content, please consider subscribing or leaving me a like. It helps my channel grow and it helps me connect with you in the future. As always, I'm sending you so much love and light. Until the next time, bye-bye. Lastly, we have Aquarius, last but certainly not least. And Aquarius, like I said, your energy came out front and center in this read. This retrograde is in the sign of Aquarius, so this is going to hit you every bit as hard as it hits Scorpio and some other signs, but you and Scorpio probably the most. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be an intense message here. But this hits your house, your first house of self, who you are, and how you show up in the world. So let's get some clarity. Spirit, right away we have the Page of Cups energy wanting to come out. I feel like you are embarking on a brand new journey. This is a brand new cycle. This is grounded new beginnings. Let's get some clarity on that. And Cups deals with emotions. So maybe you're finally getting your emotional footing for possibly the first time in your life. All right, we have the Fool. Yes, this is a brand new cycle for you. It's a brand new path, a brand new way forward. And Spirit is asking you to really define who you want to be moving forward, because the Fool is a blank slate. He's a clean slate. It's a fresh start. So you get to rewrite the book at this point in time. And the pages are ready to be written on. The story is ready to be narrated, and you're the author. So it's time for you to step into the driver's seat and determine who you want to be and to start writing the next chapter of your life, because the opportunities are endless. So if this resonates, Aquarius, if you're ready to tap into this retrograde energy, then let me know in the comments below where you're at on your journey. As always, if you like this content, please consider subscribing or liking this video. It helps my channel grow and it helps me find you easier in the future. And as always, I'm sending you so much love and light until the next time.